How's it going, everyone? Back here with another video, and I hope you're having an amazing week. Today, I wanted to talk about something a little bit controversial, and that is, should you buy an electric car in 2024? I know that sounds like a very weird question to be asking, but you know what? There are tons of electric cars out there right now, and there's so much hype around them. A lot of marketing is going out to convince people that this is the best thing since sliced bread. But is it? So today I want to explore a few reasons why you may want one and a few reasons why you may not want one. So here we go. First of all, I just wanted to say my goal with this video is not to sway you one way or another. I just wanted to give you enough information to help make an informed decision. It's really important, we talked about this in a previous video, when you're making a decision to do your homework and to really understand the breadth of the situation and what it is that you're getting into. And I don't think enough people truly understand what it means to get an electric vehicle versus keeping your regular car that runs on gasoline like most other people. So we're going to talk about the pros and cons. Here we go. Electric cars. What are some of the benefits? Well, the most obvious one is they don't require gas. You don't have to go to the gas station every week and fill up and spend hundreds of dollars making sure that tank is full every time you get in. The other really great advantage is most people realize there's not a lot of moving parts in an electric car. You don't have really complicated engines and engine bays where lots of moving things go around and you need fluids and top-ups and mechanics to fix things all the time. Electric cars are simple. They've got really small engines that don't require a lot of maintenance. They're not connected to gearboxes and all this other complicated stuff to make the car move. And so the maintenance is relatively easy. Not a whole lot that you need to do on them. The other great advantage is, of course, there's so much space in an electric car. When you build a car that has to fit this giant engine up front and then all the mechanical bits to make the engine move the wheels and connect it to the back, and you have gasoline tanks and you've got other really important components that make the engine run, it takes up a lot of room. But when you have these tiny little electric motors that are connected directly to the axles with the wheels, you've got a lot of space. Designers have this really great opportunity now to have a blank slate and design something really amazing. And so you've got tons of space that you can play around with inside, and it makes electric cars a little bit more roomy and tons more storage. The other cool thing about that is obviously the designers can go nuts with designs. You don't have to stick to a conventional sort of shape that a normal car that we've all been used to kind of looks like. And so designers can really have a good time building these really cool futuristic designs. And so they typically look really awesome and are a little more exciting to see than typical internal combustion engine cars. What else? Well, some of the coolest tech that's out there is reserved for these electric cars because they can. You know, electric cars have a lot of really great technology to make them work as it is, and because they don't have a lot of mechanical parts in them, they have the ability to do everything with software. You have the ability to customize the car however you like, and companies that design them have a lot of flexibility with what they can do with the car and how they make the software work with all the parts inside the car, both on the interior but also the mechanical parts that make the car move. And so it is a really awesome experience usually going to electric cars, seeing all this cool new futuristic tech that a lot of times gets trickled down now into the internal combustion engine cars, but most of that new tech now is being pioneered in these electric cars. The other really great benefit of an electric car is acceleration. Everybody talks about when you go in a Tesla or you go in some new electric car, when you put your foot down, you've got that instant acceleration. It feels amazing. You fly faster than any other car on the road. And it's really cool because for the money that you pay for an electric car, you get supercar performance. Cars that used to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, can't match the latest technology that electric cars have in terms of outright acceleration. And the reason for that is because electric cars have instant torque. They don't have to work through the engine revs and build up all that power, especially with turbocharged cars. You know, they don't have to work through all these mechanical bits that have to build up all that power until you really get to the speed that you want to. Electric cars are simple. Put your foot down, you get all the torque and all the power right away. So they're exciting and they're fun, and it's a really cool party piece when you go out with friends and you can throw them in the back of their seats because the power is so great and it's really exciting. So that is one of the coolest benefits, I think, of electric cars. You may think, well, Yosef, that's a pretty long list, and it seems like electric cars kind of win here. But do they? Let's think about that in a bit of a different way. So we talked a little bit about the fuel savings, right? You have an electric car, you don't have to go fill up in gas. But electric cars have their downsides. You still have to fill it up with electricity. And not everybody has an electric port for charging in their house. And so that means you've got to go and buy one. Unless you want to take an extension cable from your kitchen, roaming all the way outside, down the street to your car. And that poses a big challenge because if you live in an apartment building or a condominium or a place that doesn't have access directly to your unit, you may be out of luck. It may be difficult to charge your car overnight. And the other thing is, if you do have a house and you have access to it, buying one of those chargers, the really fast ones, costs a pretty penny. Those things are not cheap. So you can spend upwards of $1,000 installing this brand new charge port in your house so that you can charge your car. So that's something that you need to factor into it. But the other most important thing is batteries don't last as long as gasoline in a car. And that is a really big challenge for a lot of people. If you're somebody that drives around town and doesn't really take any trips, may not be a big issue. You can plug it in at night and it'll be charged ready for you by the morning. But a lot of people who take longer trips for work, or they want to visit family or want to take a nice road trip, now you rely on the network of charging stations around North America or in Europe or wherever it is that you live. And the biggest challenge with that is, unless you're buying a Tesla, you're relying on an infrastructure network that is not super robust. It's not one that's well maintained. It's not one that really allows for a lot of flexibility. So if there's a lot of people going to charge their cars at once, you may be sitting and waiting for a long time. Some of them are out of order. We've seen horror stories online with other YouTube videos of people that get stranded because they just don't have enough capacity to charge their cars while they're on a nice long road trip. And so range anxiety is a real big thing. And you really have to consider that when you're buying a car. Not all battery powered cars are built the same and they don't always have the same range. And the thing that hurts them the most is not just the charging, but it's the cold weather. I live in Canada and it's cold here. We get really, really bad winter, and the cold dramatically affects the capacity of the battery. So you can have a lot of range in one day and then it gets really cold, and the next day, all of a sudden your range is cut by 20, 30, 40%, depending on the type of battery that you have in your car. Those are real considerations, real problems that you can have with an electric car. Another important issue to consider is, well, what happens when you have to sell the car? Not a lot of people want to buy a used battery, and so not a lot of people want to buy a used electric car. If you take a look online, the depreciation for electric cars is enormous. You lose a ton of money when you buy an electric car versus a regular internal combustion engine car. So if you're somebody that wants to keep the car for 5, 6 years and sell it, or maybe you're somebody who likes to lease a car and change it up every couple of years, you may be out of luck because you're paying a ton of money into depreciation. And so that brings me to another question, which is reliability. Now, everybody always says electric cars have very few moving parts, so why do I have to worry about reliability? Well, when you buy an electric car, yes, there are fewer moving parts, but if any of the battery components fail, that's at least a $20,000 replacement. And that's a big deal. If you go and get into an accident accidentally, somebody bumps into you, you hit a pole in the middle of the night, you go over a giant piece of ice and it cracks your battery pack, that's $20,000 at least just to fix it or replace it. And if one of those battery cells goes bad, now you've got a problem with the rest of them. And a lot of manufacturers aren't going to go in and fix that one cell for a fraction of the price. They're just going to tell you, you got to replace the whole thing. Yes, I know there are warranties, and yes, I know the batteries right now are fairly reliable, but it's a big thing to think about. You could write off your car with the smallest of accidents just because the whole undercarriage of your car is really the battery pack in most electric vehicles, and if it gets damaged just a little bit, that could ruin your entire car. So that's a big consideration. The other thing that I was thinking about, which really is an interesting piece, is because electric cars are so heavy, you will probably burn through tires a lot quicker than a normal internal combustion engine car. I know they are starting to make tires designed specifically for electric vehicles so that the tread wear is a little bit more normalized for them, but at the end of the day, unless you're replacing those tires with the exact same tires that the car comes with, you have to really consider that the weight of the car is now putting extra stress on those tires. And if you're not using the regenerative braking all the time, that's going to put a lot of strain on the brakes of the car. a lot of manufacturers that are building electric cars now are not putting really beefy brakes in their electric cars because they don't want to add the extra expense. And so your brakes may wear out a little bit more quickly when you use them than in a regular internal combustion engine car. So there are a few maintenance things that you have to realize that could add up and could also be expensive. The biggest challenge with electric cars, though, I think out of all of that stuff, is just the rate of speed that technology is going right now. If you think about it, every piece of technology that we have, a cell phone, a laptop, gaming console, you name it, if you think about it, the technology is changing so quickly that every year there's something even greater and even better, and it's miles ahead of what you had a few years ago. And the same thing is happening right now with batteries. And when manufacturers are designing and building the cars, and they're designing the batteries and building the batteries, and they're investing in research and development to make them even better and better every year, that means that the car that you just bought in a couple years will pretty much be obsolete. And that is really important, not only because, well, the technology is changing and you could have a much more efficient car that takes a lot less time to charge and can go a lot further. And that's not something that you can just fix with the flip of a switch. And so the other thing that you have to consider is that that car is not going to be worth anywhere near as much as it probably could be if it was a regular internal combustion engine car. And I know we talked a little bit about depreciation, but the reason for that depreciation is just the rate of speed in which the technology is advancing. And you don't want to be stuck at the bottom of it. If you buy a car and the next year they come out with a brand new type of technology for batteries and your car is worthless. So those are a few reasons why I truly believe maybe this is a time where we think about what do we really want out of our car, and is it really the time now for us to invest in an electric car, or isn't it? Or maybe we stick to our regular internal combustion engine car for a few more years and just see where technology goes. Now I know you're probably saying that technology always advances, and if you live by that, you probably will never buy anything. That is true, but I believe that the technology in a couple of years is going to be so much further advanced than where it is now that that is probably worth waiting for if you're going to make the switch. And at that point, hopefully the network of charging stations around the world will be a lot more robust, and it's going to be easier to live with an electric car. They're going to solve a lot of the challenges that we talked about already, and then you can truly enjoy the benefits of having super fast performance, a car that's really exciting and interesting to look at, that has a lot more space and is more configurable, something that you can really enjoy the new technology and all the cool stuff that they put inside, all the games and cool little features and Easter eggs that they put in from the manufacturer. So keep that in mind when you're shopping for a car right now. If you do buy an electric car, don't feel bad. I think they're really awesome, and there's a lot of really cool things that come along with it. We've talked about some of those benefits. But if you were asking me on the whole, if everybody should go out and buy an electric car versus just a regular internal combustion engine car, I would wait. I would truly wait and see what happens in the next couple of years. And if you really, really don't want to pay the prices at the pump anymore, you're sick and tired of that, and you want something that's way more efficient, buy a hybrid. There's nothing wrong with that. Hybrids have been around for decades already, and the technology is proven. They do a great job. They don't have huge batteries that require a lot of maintenance and things like that. So I would say buy a hybrid instead of an electric car right now. But if you're not itching to get the newest technology, a regular internal combustion engine car, I think will do a fantastic job for you. Anyways, I hope this was helpful. This was my rant about electric cars. I hope it didn't insult too many people when I say this, but these are my honest beliefs, and I hope this is helpful when you're making your car shopping and looking for your next vehicle. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time today, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your week. See you in the next one.